Darlene is here. Good morning, Darlene. Who is on staff one? Whose name is staff one? Just so I could jot you down for attendance and I could get you credit through the workforce, Arizona workforce. Don't be shy. I know you guys. I know all of you. Hi, Connie. How are you?
Oh, where am I? Where's my, I don't even know where my,
Let's see.
This is the picture of the uncle.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Denounced it.
Yep, sorry.
Good morning, Tina. How are you? Good morning, Denise. I'm glad you're able to make it.
yeah, thank you for inviting me, Elsa.
Denise.
Hey, Hank.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice to see you here. Nice surprise.
Yeah.
I've known Denise for many years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very small world.
Very. Getting smaller.
And the education ECE world, everybody knows each other.
Oh, yeah.
In Tucson.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even at the national level, it's just really, it's a cool thing. You know, you see people and connect with them and over time get to know them better. And so it becomes another family.
Yeah.
So you have to go in at 12? You have to go in at 12.
I'm recording ESA, so you'll have it. I'll send you the link later so you can have for posterity.
Go in at 12.
Thank you so much.
I have an appointment at 1.
I wish I would see everybody in person already. You know, our conversations we have face to face. Yeah.
Yeah.
This time has had us, you know, appreciate all these little moments, right? That we used to have in our past. And we're like, oh gosh.
Yeah, for sure. The simple pleasures of life, right?
Yes. Oh, thank you, Tani, for helping Dolly with her sound. Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and start. I think we've given it 5 minutes, so I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be other people that will be joining us as we're going. But good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you're able to be here. We have a special treat today. We have Enrique Feldman. If you don't know who he is, you're gonna know now, and you're gonna be like a fan. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of his, I've received training from him, and it's very valuable information. So I hope you enjoy today. And I also wanted to let you know what's gonna be happening this month. We're gonna be having 2 extra sessions. This month on May 17th, we're going to have another session, 9:45 to 11:45, another one on May 24th at the same time. And then we're going to have 2 other ones in June, just so you know that we're going to have extra ones. And we're able to do that because we're, you know, online. And Enrique, would you like to share a little bit of what these sessions are going to look like?
Absolutely. First of all, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. And as we move forward, doing the best we can, being virtual still. I just want you to know that I have a lot of fun things in store for you, a lot of experiences. And so all these sessions are all about really one thing, and it's about how we can build better community. And what does that mean, right? It means better community, obviously, in traditional ways with our colleagues and with our parents and all those who we connect with, but also with children, and also connecting with ourselves, communing with ourselves. So improving learning and all these different things. So today's session is all about, as you can see, how to build a resilient, mind, brain, and it's all very connected. Today's focus is brain, and how to overcome adversity. And I don't mean, by adversity, I don't mean simply COVID, but I mean, any adversity that comes up in life. So today's session will kick us off, and you'll leave today's session with strategies that you can use to create a healthier, stronger brain that then allows us to create a stronger and more resilient mind for ourselves and for all those whom we serve. And then next week, it'll be about how to more specifically go after adversity as an ally. And what I mean is how to see the gift. I'm going to give you specific strategies on how to see the gift in any moment that is difficult, whether it's a difficult conversation or a critical conversation, or whether that be with a young child, or whether it be with a sister, or whether it be with a colleague. And so on the 17th, we'll build on today. And on the 17th, it'll be about nutrition and how to get into daily routines. It's one thing to learn something new. It's another to make it part of your daily routine. And let's just for a quick second, like when we talk about lasting impact, it rarely comes from insight or just knowledge in a vacuum, like just learning something new. We have to find ways to integrate it into our daily practice. So that's what the 17th will be about. And then on the 24th, that'll be fun. That's a family engagement event. And that's all about helping our children be life ready, not just academically ready, but life ready, critical thinking, creative thinking. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So that will involve many, many strategies you can use with children, and really not just for, staff and teachers, obviously, but for parents. And a lot of us play both roles, right? I mean, many of us are parents, and we're also teaching other young children. And then in June 14th will be how to create a resilient mind. And so there are two sides to this coin all the stuff I do. It's brain fitness and it's mind fitness. And it's two different areas. And you'll really enjoy the 14th. That'll be about how you can not only improve your own professional work, but it's going to have a huge impact on your personal life. And I speak from personal experience in my ability, for example, to deal with stressful things. I'm a very emotional person, and I used to not handle emotional stress that well. On the outside, it looked like I was, but inside I wasn't. And so today no one's perfect, but I'm a lot better at it. And I'm going to share with you what, not just what's been researched, but what I've used myself in my life. And then on June 21st, it's going to be about compassion fatigue and self-care. So you're going to get so much. And I want to thank EDSA and your leadership team for making all this possible, and all the different organizations involved. This is takes a village, right? It takes a village. So I'm very happy to be part of your village.
We're very happy to have you here. So Enrique, take it away.
Okay. So make sure, ideally, have your video on and your microphone muted for now. So go ahead and mute yourself. And then even if you're having a bad hair day, it's okay. We're all family here, right? But if you don't want to, I'm not going to make anyone, right? So I'm going to just look around and see. And I thank you, Denise. I see your wonderful face, big smile, and everyone else is being very shy, and that's okay. I'm not going to push on that anymore. Now, oh, I see some faces. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Hello. Great to see you all. So yeah, and also the other thing you can use is the chat box. So if you don't know how to use a chat box, unmute right now and let me know. So if you know how to use the chat box, I've put in there good morning and a lot of people responded already. So that's an area I'm going to ask you to use sometimes. There you go. Thank you, John. I see you, John. And I also see names, which is cool. So Dolly and Renee and Tani and so forth. So I see Christina in there. So great to have you all there. And then at times when I ask for input, it's totally great if you want to unmute and go, I have something to say, all right? You don't have to raise your hand. We'll be fine when you speak to people. So if, thank you, Stephanie. I see your chat. Good morning. I appreciate that. So anyway, you can unmute at any time with a question. I'm pretty informal like that. And you can also use the chat box, which I have up. So let's dive in. So take a good look at this image. And I want you to take a look at this image with such attention that I want you to notice lines and shapes. Any kind of shape, a line, curve, any geometric shapes. Just focus on shapes right now. And if you have any other thoughts, let them go. Let go of any other thoughts you might have. And if you have a thought, like I just had one pop in my head, hey, high thought, and then let it go. It's okay. But it's okay to have it, just let it go. And now focus on the different colors of the image. I wonder how many colors there are. Now look for any contrast, any shades, anything that really interests you. What pops out? Something curious, something different. Now I want you to focus on the font of the letters. What? Yeah, just trust me. Take a look at the letters and which words pop out to you? Which words pop out to you? And are there any words there that aren't on the image that pop out to you? Is there a sense? Do you sense something? Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's joy, maybe it's adventure. If you're hungry, it might be eggs and toast. I don't know, right? So what I just had you do, and I'm going to put this in the chat box so you can all see it. That was a very simplified version of what we call in my world and in the world of many of my colleagues who are neuroscience, right, and positive psychology, a PQ rep. What does PQ stand for? PQ stands for positive intelligence. And we're going to get into that a little bit next week and then a lot on June 14th. Right? But I wanted to introduce that idea along with brain fitness. So PQ rep is about improving our ability to be mentally fit, our ability to take on and respond in positive ways when life presents a challenge, or when work presents a challenge, or when a child presents an exciting challenge for us, right? Or when a spouse or a sister or whatever it is, right? Including if we lose someone, right? That kind of thing. So everything from a small challenge to a really big one. We have the capacity, an amazing capacity as human beings. So, and it's also kind of fun because what it does, I don't know about you, I'm going to ask Elsa, I'll put Elsa on the spot first here, right? So for me, when I do this sort of work, and I do this all day long now, as I'm driving, eyes open, of course, I do PQ reps all the time. It's part of my own self-care, right? So for me, it takes me to this sort of neutral place, kind of almost Zen-like, right? In the middle of my day. But Elsa, what was that experience like for you?
It kind of like got me focused, kind of focused on just one thing. It was, I think it kind of like makes me forget about a lot of other stuff that are going on, the busy mind.
Yeah, and there is a lot going on in life, right? So yeah, this is about being aware of all those different things, but mostly becoming aware of how we respond, all right? How we respond. Now, in order to have a chance to be truly mentally fit, we need this thing, our brain, to be on fire. And by on fire, I mean accustomed to, you ready? Here it is. Accustomed to and seeking out newness, new stuff, new experiences, new music, new tastes for our palate, new ways of thinking, right? So the brain, we have left brain, right brain, and we have all these pathways. Did you know it only takes 21 days to burn a new pathway? Woo! Doesn't take 10 years. It takes 21 days of consistent daily routine practice. So I'm going to not just show you what to do. I'm going to talk about when, how often. I'm going to help you get into whatever zone works for you. And this is not about, oh, Enrique, are you saying we have to take 30 minutes out of every day or 2 hours? No, it's 2 minutes here, it's a minute here, it's throughout the day. So let's dive in. Let's see here. Again. Okay, so I'm going to start with a really big question. There it is. And I want you to wonder with me, is Enrique just pulling out these questions randomly, or is he up to something? Right? So I'm probably up to something, if you know me, all right? But here it is. So in the chat box, and if you don't have access to the chat box, you can unmute right now. This would be one of those times where you can unmute. And what kind of food would it be that would connect with how you're feeling right now? And be honest, you know, I'm not asking you to put a healthy food up, but you might feel healthy. If you do, you can put that in. So Stephanie put coffee. Oh, delicious. You feel like coffee. So you feel up, you feel energized, I hope, right? And take your time. So go ahead and get to that chat box. Or again, if you don't have access to the chat box, go ahead and unmute and share with me. What is this? You know, what food would it be? I'll put down for me here. I feel like John feels like bread. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. What kind of bread, John? I feel like an acai berry smoothie. Feeling a little tropical this morning. Chocolate. Oh, cream of wheat waffles. Here we go. Sourdough. Whoa. Toast and jam coffee. Toast and jam coffee. All right. Nice. Look at all these things. And sourdough. Good choice, John. Good choice. Of all the breads, that's probably the healthiest choice we can go with. There's some others too. So, all right. So we all put down some different foods, right? We feel how we feel. Let's see what comes next here. A really important question. Let's go with the first one first. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Ready, set, and go. Let's see it in the chat room. How do you feel about pineapple on pizza? Okay, we have a very strong no. It was some big yeses. A big yes, a no, a yes. John says yes. Okay. I would say yes. That doesn't mean it's the right answer. It's subjective. Now, I want pineapple on pizza. For me, there has to be serrano or jalapeno or some red chili flakes or something with a little heat. Okay. Andrew says no, emphatic no, an emphatic no. Ollie says no. Ham and pineapple. Okay. So John is making an addition to his answer. I like that. Okay. And how about, does pineapple belong on a hamburger? Does it belong on a hamburger? Whoa. Okay. Wow. This is great. I love it. Never tried it, Christina. I recommended Oh, Denise barf. Well, Denise made it very clear as to how she feels, and I thank you for that, Denise. No worries. Pineapple with everything, says John. No way, says Cynthia. Dolly, a clear no. Yeah, there's no right answer. Right now, I've had it before. I like it. I do like it on burgers, but particularly if the pineapple is grilled. because then it changes the flavor. Okay. Renee says, I don't think so, not on burgers. All right. My favorite response was, I haven't tried it yet. That's an exciting response. So why am I asking these questions? And do I ask questions like this to young children? As a side note, yes, I do, all the time. Because one of the things I'd like to do is create ongoing conversation. Why? Think about how critical conversation is, and think about the kind of conversations that happen or don't happen in today's world. Many of the conversations in today's world are inside boxes. They are conversations that have limits imposed by ourselves. But when I'm working with young children and my own colleagues, I like to elicit curiosity. I like to get everyone going. And look at the chat box. It's pretty filled up. At no point have I had to say, come on, everybody, come on, over here to the chat box. No, you don't have to do that. You dove right in. So think about the kinds of questions I've asked so far. And now let's see what kind of question I'm going to ask next. So I will give you a hint. I am simultaneously getting us warmed up, and at the same time, I'm sharing a strategy with you, which I will define in a little bit, but I want you to first experience it. So there's the question, superfoods. I don't know how much you know about that. I'm a total geek, so I know a lot about superfoods. You may not, and that's okay, or you may know more than I do, and I look forward to learning from you. So ready, set, go. What are some superfoods or really healthy foods that you think, from your perspective, help brain and body? Okay, chia, broccoli, fruits and veggies. I love it. Chia seed is super powerful, Stephanie. Tani, broccoli is one of the undersung heroes. I'll tell you why in a moment. Blueberries, yep. Another one, by the way, one of my favorites. I hope you are one of the people that can eat this product, is cilantro. Coconut everything.
Berries, those things, cherries.
Yeah, and I love that you unmuted. Thank you so much. Oh my God, a human voice. How exciting. Yeah, you can, remember everyone, you can unmute anytime if you want to just pitch in your 2 cents. So coconut oil. Yeah, as some people, the cilantro tastes like soap. That is such a bummer. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's okay. There are plenty of other superfoods. It's all good. Here's another one. I'm going to type this down. Hemp seed, little tiny nuts. They have 20 amino acids in them. I put them in my smoothies, all sorts of stuff. And I won't go too far into nutrition because we have another nutrition day coming up. So I don't want to turn this into nutrition day, which is hard for me, all right, because of my own health journey and that of some people in my family. Peanuts, yep, peanuts are good. Yeah, a lot of nuts in general. Did you know that cashews, however, are not a nut? Did you know that? Cashews are a bean. What? Woo, interesting. The healthiest nuts are, I'll put them down, walnuts and pecans. Oh, what did you say, someone? Yeah, right, Renee? I mean, it's weird, right? Oh, and pistachios. So a question like this gets us thinking about the nutritional side of helping our brain and mind out. We all know what inflammation is, right? So whether it's something really light, like just a little bit of inflammation, a little bit like on one finger, or whether it's someone that has big time swelling in their ankles, or whether it's a cerebral aneurysm, something really serious. Inflammation is typically at the root cause of it, right? And so what we want to do is we want to eat things that lessen inflammation. In a very simplistic way, this is what we're going to do. And by the way, even though it's not Nutrition Day, I've got to share one thing with you. Broccoli is one of the healthiest things you can eat, especially raw, right? Now, I used to not like that. I've changed my palate, and I dip my raw broccoli, you ready? In almond butter or peanut butter. I know, it may sound like, I don't know, man. That sounds like pineapple on pizza, Enrique, what's going on? Trust me, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's a very healthy snack. So keep in mind the previous questions, And now the next question. Okay, so what I'm calling super thoughts, you might call them happy thoughts, positivity, mindfulness. There are a lot of words here that are all connected. They're not exactly the same thing, but what kind of empowering thoughts can help us overcome adversity and help our children overcome adversity, and maybe even help an entire community or an entire nation. I've been doing a lot of work around the country with different native communities, and being part Yaqui myself is something I'm very passionate about. And so let me see, take your time. This is a little deeper question, right? A little deeper question. So chat, yeah. Working together. Yeah, love it. That's a great concept. That's a great thought. What else, everyone? And you can either type it in or you can unmute. Take your time. Gratitude, Denise, thank you. Gratitude is a superpower. Being positive, yeah, sure. Love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Think about it. I left plenty of time today for this. I left plenty of time in this session to converse, right? Teamwork. Absolutely. Yeah, I heard that. Yep. So super thoughts. I'm gonna put in a couple here. How about that one? How about that one? I am enough. Depending on which inner saboteur, and I'll get into what that term means another day. We all have, you know, these positive, negative voices, neutral voices in our head. Look at the bright side. Sure, that's a lovely thought. Absolutely, Stephanie. Right? New beginnings, Christina. Lovely. Love that. Great feedback, everyone. Keep it coming. How about this? This is a question. How about this one? Well, it could be a question. Tell me your story, or it could just be a statement. Tell me your story, right? Because our stories are quite often how we lead. Our stories are quite often connected to how we lead, right? And when someone has their story witnessed, when other people take the time to listen to someone's story, it's powerful what can happen. It really is. Okay, and take a look at this image. And in one word, describe what this image makes you think about or how it makes you feel. And there's no right answer. There's no one answer. Take your time, there's no hurry. So in the chat box, or you can unmute. So looking at this image, what comes to mind? What one word? Or if it has to be 2 words, that's fine, but something brief. So I've had people type in words like this, for example, freedom, whoa. Divide, how lovely. Connections. Those are 3 really powerful words and very interesting because there is a divide, yet they are connected. And when you get left brain and right brain working together at a high level, you do create a certain amount of neural freedom. There's a word, there's a topic for you. Neural freedom. What in the world? The freedom to believe enough, self-belief, self-love, and to have the capacity of brain and the capacity of mind to navigate through adversity and to find the gifts and opportunities and to create teamwork, right? Yet it is divided. Well, there's so many metaphors there. I'll stop myself. Great feedback. Let's continue. In a second, I'm going to check one thing. Yeah. Okay, so here is what I've been doing. Yes, it was fun. The strategy is called the art of the question. That's the macro. That's the big set. That's the big umbrella name for it. The art of the question. Underneath that umbrella, there are hundreds of strategies. I just took you through one, and this is called scaffolded questions. Scaffolding your questions from simple to complex, from fun, lighthearted to serious, poignant, you know, and maybe emotional even, right? So my question for you is right there underneath the light bulb. And this is a rhetorical question. You can answer it if you want. If you have an answer, go for it. But this is one of those questions where I just want you to think about it really. Is what is the nature? What kinds of questions do we typically use with those whom we serve? Children, their siblings, parents, ourselves. Do we even ask ourselves questions? And if so, what kind? So I want you to think about the questions you ask. And if you're taking notes mentally or down with a pen or something or on your phone, I want you to ask yourself, how can I improve? And here's a question you can put in the chat room if you like. How can you improve related to the kinds of questions you use? How can you get better? Do you ask only linear questions? A lot of people will ask questions where they really want a certain answer and only a certain answer to be the answer. Nothing wrong with that, as long as we're also open to other thoughts, other ways. Like, I don't have all the answers, my gosh. Now, Elsa, she has all the answers. Right, Elsa? Okay, no, just kidding. No one does, right? Thus, the beauty and power of a community, right? And more specifically, a community of practice, right? So think about your questions and break it down into three things. Quality, timing, and response. You see the words down at the bottom right. What are the quality of questions we ask? Are they open-ended? Are they curious? Are they humorous? Do we use humor? Are they inspiring? Do they ignite thought, right? So when my daughter was 4, she said to me, "Daddy, I'm tired of the books you're reading to me at night." And luckily, I didn't say anything too serious like an adult. I didn't say, "Well, young lady, those are the only books we have in the house right now." And I also didn't say, "Well, there are some people that don't have any books. You should be grateful." What I said was a question. I said, "What do you want to do?" And then I was quiet. "What do you want to do?" And she said, "I want to make our own stories, Daddy." And we did. And you never know what's going to happen. Based on that little conversation, as Edson knows, and some of you know, there's a series of books out there now that my daughter and I have created based on that one conversation. You see, Edsa, use your own curiosity to ask questions. Great, I love it. So ask yourself, what's the quality of your questions? The other one is the timing. When do you ask questions? Sometimes we ask questions and we choose really odd times to ask really profound questions. Has that ever happened to you in the professional world? Probably, right? You're like, having a conversation or walking down the hallway, and then you're like, boom, someone asks you a super heavy question. Thus the power of scaffolding questions, right? Stephanie says, open-ended, but sometimes plain. I could be better by being more authentic. Woo! Oh man, that's $1 million comment right there. Congratulations, wonderful comment. Authenticity is huge, in large part because people are tired of the opposite of authenticity. People, we have had it. We've had it with stuff that's not real, right? So thank you, Stephanie. And then response. Oh my. Here's the thing I had to learn about response time to questions. I had to learn that 6 or 7 seconds was not the end of the world. That was about 6 seconds, right? So when I ask a question, or when you ask a question, we want to make sure we leave enough time. And I'll even say, think about it. You don't have to have an answer yet. In fact, you might not have an answer. You might have a question for my question. That's a game I play with kids all the time. So much fun. But the biggest thing about response is leaving the space for it. And we can do that even while we're talking. What? Now, eventually we have to stop talking, but body language, right? You know, like here, a little here. So, you know, open hand, like, hey, what do you think? Versus, hey, what do you think? Little things like that go a long, long, long way. So anyway, fantastic feedback. Let's continue. So that was step one here. So I have a story I'm going to share with you. And the story is based on the art of the question. So this is another strategy. So the first strategy you have is the art of the question today, right? We use it as a warm up, and you can start beginning to think about what kinds of questions you ask. And I'm doing it in a general way on purpose. I don't want to load you down with 8 different boxes to check. You have enough boxes to check already. I'm here to help you do what you're already doing, but do it at a higher level. And a lot of you are probably doing this at a super high level in your work with young children and families and so forth. So this is my son, Nick. This is my son, Nick, and this is about a 2-year-old picture. He looks pretty similar today. And we're really close. My daughter and I are both really close, along with my son. And I'm really grateful to go back to that word that Denise put out there, gratitude. So if you were to ask any 3-year-old, hey, you want to play? The response is typically, yeah, I want to play. Typical 3-year-old response or 4-year-old response, they don't like whip out a piece of paper and go, well, let me check my parameters and let me check what my colleagues say, and let me check the rules and the policies to make sure I am available to play. No, I'm being a smart aleck, right? They don't do that. They go, yeah, I want to play. So when my son was 3, same thing. When my son turned 14, not in this picture, he was about 20 in this picture. When he turned 14, like most 14-year-olds, like most young adults, like a lot of middle-aged adults, that he stopped acting and thinking like a young child. You might say, well, that's good. Well, in some ways, but not always. He was being more serious. And as happens naturally, he was more about just himself, right? So I decided to start playing a game with him that is a strategy. Here I go. So instead of sharing with you how to use the strategy, I'm going to just tell you the story instead. So I looked at Nick at age 14, dropped him off at high school, and just before I did, I said, hey, you want to play a game? And he looked at me like, and literally his body language was like, yeah, okay. Very different than a 3-year-old response, right? He said, what's the game? I said, it's called You and Who. He said, how do you play? You have to find something new you've never noticed before. Find something you've never noticed before and tell me about it, and we'll talk about it. And then there's a second question. He said, like anything? What do you mean, Dad? Yeah, anything. Like at school? Yeah, school, home, the desert, inside a room, whatever. But like what? What do you mean? I said, like that tree right there. There was a tree out in front of the school. He said, well, I've seen that before. Yeah, but have you really taken, like, have you noticed it? Like, have you actually looked at it? Oh, okay. All right. I think I understand. And what's the second part? What's the second question? I can't tell you yet. I'll give it away. And then he said, well, how do you win? How do you win? That's not a bad question, but it's not the best question. There are other questions like, how do we win? How do we journey? How do we experience things? There are a lot of questions. But I didn't say that to him. I said, no, I can't tell you yet. So he said, okay. So I pick him up at the end of the day. He gets in. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Hey, what'd you find that was new? And he said, what? Oh, Dad, I forgot. Oh, you forgot. So I pulled one of these. I'm driving. Oh, you forgot. Man, what a bummer. It's such a cool game. And he didn't want to disappoint me. So he said, anything, Dad? I said, yeah, anything. We live in the desert, just like you. He looks out the window and says, that rock. I'm like, really, dude, the rock? That's the best you can do? That's the best. He said, you said anything, Dad. I said, you're right. And we kidded around a little bit. And he said, what's the second question? He remembered. I said, oh, yeah. Who are you? And he said, what? I said, who are you? He said, Nick Feldman? I said, cool. Is that what you were looking for, Dad? I said, I don't know, was it? Oh, Dad, your ridiculous questions, right? So we started playing a little bit here and there, not every day. I didn't make it like homework. You know, at first he saw, what was it, a red folder in the middle of a bunch of yellow manila folders. I wonder what is that about, Nick? Probably bad grades, Dad, I'm not sure. And who are you? Nick Feldman. And then he noticed like a security camera. We talked a little more about that. Who are you? Nick Feldman. One day he's on the bus, I texted him, hey, have a great day. And I didn't nudge, and he said, hey, Dad, I noticed there's a yellow Camaro always parked in the corner between McDonald's and the Chase Bank. I said, that's interesting. I wonder what's up with that. And he went on for it was a long text. He said, well, it could be this person, that person. That person might not be able to afford it. Maybe they could. Maybe they park out of convenience. He had a lot of thoughts about why that car was there. And I said, wow, cool, man. And I texted, who are you? Texted back, Nick Feldman. I'm like, what do you want, man? What do you want from me? Why ask me the same question over and over again? He didn't say that, but I could tell he was thinking that, right? 3 months later, I'm minding my own business at home. He walks in really excited. And he says to me, hey, Dad, I noticed something really interesting at school today. I said, really, what was it? When I asked all my friends in a group a question, they very quickly agree upon an answer. But when I asked each of my friends individually the same question, they all have very different things to say. I said, really? That's pretty cool. So we talked about social dynamics. We talked about peer pressure, all sorts of things. And I tried to say, who are you? But he interrupted me. My 14-year-old, 6'2" kid interrupted me, looked down at me, right, and said, you know, Dad, if you were to ask me, what am I might have more to say. Now inside, I'm doing backflips. Why? Because the learner, the child, the employee, whatever we're doing to put in there, the learner is taking over the framework of learning. They're beginning to create their own way of playing that game, create their own way of learning, create their own way of living, their own way of thinking. This is exciting stuff. I didn't say any of that. I stayed calm on the outside. I said, okay, fine. What are you? And he said to me, I'm a carer. I said, a what? A carer. You mean like caring? He said, yeah, I like to care for people, Dad. Okay. Good for me to know. Next time we played the game, I said, what are you? And he said, I'm a striver. You like to strive? Yeah, I like to strive and I like to care. Good to know. Good to know. Years go by. Years. He was 14 then. About a year and a half ago, right? Year and a half ago, I said out of the blue via text. I don't know why, I just thought of it. I said, hey Nick, you want to play You and Who? You want to play the game You and Who? And he's like, what? Huh? Oh, yeah. That'd be fun. Ah. He was 21 and he responded like the 3-year-old again. So we played the game. I let out. So I said, I noticed that morning light has a different energy than afternoon light. And he said to me, oh yeah, I noticed that back like when I was a high school senior, LOL. Thanks, dude. Appreciate the love. Nice. And then he says to me, what are you? Here's the interesting thing. 2 words came into my mind that I had never ever used to describe myself before. And I don't mean these words in any context other than Webster Dictionary. Okay. So I said, I just responded via text. I said to my son, I'm a healer and I'm an awakener. And he typed back, cool, Dad. So full circle, right? So how do you play this game with children? Any way you want. I can give you some examples, all right? So working with 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, it depends on the child. I mean, it depends on where they're at. I want to be developmentally appropriate, but I also want to push the envelope a little bit. If I'm always concerned about only being inside one area of learning, then I'm not going to help that child think in ways where they can become really good at being flexible, improvising with things like adversity, right? So with young children, I'll say things like, hey, what do you see in here that's interesting? Can you find something you've not noticed before? And some kids do this, it's hilarious. They start moving their head. And some kids look a little, you know, that whatever, whether it's a rock, whether it's a feather, whether it's a marble, whether it's an animal, whether it's a leaf on a tree, or I'll go outside with them and go, wow, I've never noticed that one leaf. That one leaf looks a little crooked or bent. I wonder why. And we start talking about it. So that it doesn't, you don't have to play the game exactly how I did with my son. That's my point. But the point is, ask more questions, right? But with children, I'll say, can you find something new? And they go running like a, you know, like a scavenger hunt, that kind of thing, right? And then I do ask them who, and a lot of my friends use this with their children. One of my friends has used it with his son, Andresito. And he asked Andresito, who at the time was 7, check it out. He asked him, who are you? And his 7-year-old said, I'm a kid. I'm a kid. But then they kept playing. And he asked him again, like a week later, who are you? I'm a kid who likes to play. Oh, okay. Getting a little more depth. I'm a kid who likes to play with. I'm a kid who likes to play and think with. And little by little, now his son is a little older. Yeah, Dad, you know, I think I might be an astronaut. Or I think I want to do this. So before I go on, what was, let me go ahead and get to the next screen here. Sorry about that. So what stood out? Go in the chat box, or you can unmute. What stood out from that story, from that story, that true story I just shared with you? And whether you think it's a key learning moment or not, just what stood out? What stood out? Thank you, and that connection. I will say my son and I are deeply connected today, mostly because of how we communicate. So not only is this technique, this strategy great for learning situations, I've used it with pretty much everyone in my inner circle at some point in time. Building a strong relationship, making relationships better with children, and define better. Let's define that. And I know what you mean, Essa. I totally know what you mean. But how do we want to say, like, how do we make something better? What makes the relationship better? And how does new and who, this strategy, help? Keep thinking about it. I love what I see in the chat box so far. I love it. Let's see what else happens in there. Identity, Ruby, that's huge. Identity for the child and ourselves. In the future, I'll be talking about how we can identify our voice and how we can help others identify theirs, and how to unleash that voice as a power, as a good thing, in a very empowering way, I should say. Where they are comfortable being able to talk to you about anything, says Renee. Yep, that's bingo right there. Yeah, that's huge. So trust, right? Building that trust. Communication with and strong relationships. Love it. So how does all this relate to having a resilient brain, in your opinions? And we're about to dive into the actual physical brain work. In just a moment, I'm going to help you help yourself create new neural connections. Combining ideas and questioning together. I love that, Stephanie. Very, very nicely put. So relating and having yeah, exactly. A resilient brain helps you put together the ideas, the questions, all these different areas. Like a lot of people have a lot of ideas in their brain and their mind, but they sometimes have difficulty, you know, putting it into some form where they can get it out there, right? And one last question before we dive into the brain work specifically at the bottom. You don't have to put this in the chat room, but if you want to, that's great. But I do want you to think about how you're going to make this strategy in some way your own. And you may not have an answer yet, and that's okay. You may have to kind of play with it. Right? So in terms of how you're going to, because I want you to use what you're doing today. Today's session, none of my sessions are about, hey, hope you feel better for the next 30 minutes. Woo! After that, good luck. No, that's not what I do. I'm not interested in that. And that's why we're not doing just one session. Thank you, SI and team. That's why we're not doing just one session. Ongoing, all right? So I want you to think about how you're going to make not just the scaffolding of questions, but this new and who idea. Are you going to start using this with your children? I hope you do. And if you want to call it a scavenger hunt, I don't care what you call it, right? You can call it whatever you want to call it. We find something new today, something new. And obviously the energy we use has to be authentic, right? And it has to be joyful. Like if I were to work with you or children or my kids, if I were to have said to Nick, my son, hey Nick, hey Nick, you want to play a game? No one would want to play a game with that. Come on, look at that. It looks like I'm angry. You want to play? No. Hey, do you want to play a game? I have a new game. What can you find that you've never really seen before? And kids are the best. They're finding stuff that we think, come on, you saw that before, but maybe they didn't, or maybe they're looking at it in a different way, right? So when you play the game, turn off the serious adult for just a moment, right? And let's remember what it feels like. I think we're good to go, right? I'm going to make sure I don't cut anyone off who has a question or comment. Any questions or comments yet? Or, I mean, we've had a lot of them right now. No? Okay. All right, take a look at this next image. You know, we hear a lot of talk about neural health, neurological health, healthy brain training, healthy brain. What does that mean? Here's what it means. Okay, you ready? I'm going to get kind of technical with you. So, do you all know what this is? Telomere. I think I'm pronouncing it. I think I typed it right. So a telomere. Anyone ever seen a shoelace, right? We've all seen a shoelace. Yeah? We've all seen a shoelace. We know what a shoelace is. We don't know what a telomere is. We know what a shoelace is, right? So on a shoelace, you have those little plastic caps, right? And it keeps the shoelace from fraying, right? It keeps the shoelace from, busting up, right? A telomere is the end. It's a little cap, but not on your shoelace. It's on the end of your cells. So tiny you can't see it, right? But we have these little, they're not made out of plastic, but it's the same idea. So little end caps on your cells. The longer those end caps are, the longer you live, okay? So I'm breaking it down in layman's terms. The longer these little telomeres are, the caps, the ends of your cells on both ends, the longer you live and the higher quality you live. Now here's the thing, you ready? This is both challenging and good news at the same time. Our current approach to healthcare in this world, for the most part, things are getting better here and there. For the most part, no one is checking, when you go to your doctors, and no one is checking how long your telomeres are, right? Like no one's gonna go, well, let's check that today. No, they check your blood pressure. They check some things that do matter, but they don't check down deep what really matters. So when I do the nutrition piece on, when is that? Oh, that's next week, May 17th. When I do the nutrition piece, I am going to show you what to eat. I'm going to show you what to snack on to make your telomeres longer. You won't feel it in a day. You won't feel it in a week. You might feel it in a month, depending on what's going on in your body. You for sure will feel it 2 years from now. How do I know this? Because I've been testing it out on myself for 10 years, 14 years actually, right? So it's really cool stuff. But what else do we need to have a healthy brain? So there's nutrition piece, which I'll get to next week, but there is this building of new pathways, this idea that we must present new ideas, new experiences for our brain. If not, we then get older in the brain. We get older neurologically. When you get old enough neurologically, some not so good things begin to happen. All right, right. So for my mother-in-law right now, that means dementia. My mother-in-law has pretty severe dementia, right? So how severe? Nick was out there, my son was out there visiting in Miami, Florida, where she lives. And she knew who Nick was. That was awesome. That was great. Beautiful thing to see that. But the next day, she was talking to Marie and had no recollection at all of that he had visited. And she gets confused with, who are you again? Oh, I'm Marie. I'm your daughter, right? So we don't want that. No one wants that for our family or for our kids, right? Especially our kids. So let's now create new neural pathways. I would like you to, now if you're on phone here, you're gonna have to go back and look at this video, because what I'm gonna do now is lead you through some physical things. And the only way to do it is you watching me, seeing me, right? So hang in there if you're on the phone lines. But if you are on video, I'd like you to, pretty please, I'd like you to put your videos on. Okay, turn your videos on. I'll give you a moment to find that button. And I am going to move to the music, and then I'm going to unshare my screen so you can see me better. Awesome. And I'm going to stop the sharing. All right, look at these beautiful faces. I love it. Just do what I do. Just do what I do. Letter X. We'll start with a simple one. Letter X. 1 and 2 and 1, 2. Ready, and switch, 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 and switch to, switch to. So you're doing great. You're doing great. Thanks, John, I love the videos. It's so nice to see your faces. You're doing great. Everyone's doing great. No one's struggling. Thank goodness, because this is a 3-year-old brain game. Okay? So it's a 4-year-old brain game. No big deal. Let's now jump to the other side of the difficulty scale. Let's try an adult brain game. Finger here, not here, but here. The thumb's not down, the thumb is in. And a thumb right here. 1, 2, ready, and switch, 2, 3, and switch, 2, 3. Keep going. Yeah, you might be here, you might be over here. Who knows where you're at? And eventually it'll be no big deal. But if you can't do it, go slow. If you can't do it yet, I should say, go slow, really slow. And we'll come back to that. Shake it out. Let's do another one. Let's go shoulder and elbow. Shoulder and elbow. 2, ready, and switch, 2, 3. Switch, switch, switch. Oh, pretty easy compared to the other one. Let's try another one. Let's now go this hand across your face to your ear. This hand on your nose. And 1, 2, ready, and switch. Switch. Right? Switch. 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 So it's nose to ear, under and over. Nose to ear, under and over. Nose to ear, under and over. Super. Let's keep going. Let's go the neck, and this hand across your ear, back of the neck and ear. Set it up, and switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. Super. Let's do another one. Let's do a hand here, down and up, down and up. This hand right here. Wiggling the fingers, but not these. Just the fingers on the stationary hand. 2, ready, and switch.
You can't do it.
Keep one hand going up and down. Other hand right here. And this hand over here, across the middle of the body. And try not to do this. All the way up here. 2 lines, distinctly different. If this is too easy for you, make one fast, make the other slow. Or keep them the same. Now turn the vertical hand into a diagonal. crossing the midline. Now, before we go on, why is this important, right?
Work your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of reasons, a lot of cool reasons. So think of a young child who's about to take their first step.
How do you work the brain?
Wobbling a little bit, right? They're figuring out how to use their legs and knees, and they take that first step, and it's almost always accompanied by this. A combination of confusion, excitement, fear, joy. For most of you, you responded in a very similar way. Because for a young child, it's a new message from the brain to the legs. For most of us, this is a new message, right? Or this is a new message. When I see Elsa, I don't go, hey, Elsa, how you doing? We don't say hi like that. When I see Denise, I don't go, hey, Denise, how you doing? That's not how we say hi, right? So this is a complacent use. It's a boring use of our body to say hi. I'm not saying we shouldn't say hi. What I'm saying is we need to find new ways to do things for our brain. The moment we push away anything new, like, oh, no, I got it, I'm good, leave me alone. That is the moment we choose to age neurologically. All right? We're told a lot of things about how we should feel at certain ages. And those are choices. All right? Let's keep going. Hand right here, down and up in time with the music and circle. Circle. If you want to make it harder, turn the line to a diagonal. 1, 2, ready, and switch. Circle other side. And remember, if you can't do any of these right now, or some of them, or there's some, I'm sure you can do some well. Remember the power of the word yet. You might not be able to do it yet. We need to really embrace that attitude, because if we don't, that attitude will absolutely, what I mean is, if we embrace the attitude, oh, I can't do it yet, no, I'm good, I give up, basically. We, without even meaning to, we will share that way of thinking with our children. Can't do that. That's not an option, right? We want them to be thinking, yes, I can, yes, I am. Let's just figure out a way. And how do you do any of these? Just like you do anything else. This one, you literally go slow. You go slow enough until you get it. And you're patient and loving with yourself. Now, what's the best brain game in the world? Is it these? No. These are highly rated in terms of brain games in the world, like Lumosity, that kind of stuff. I mean, they're well liked and they're well conceived, and they're research-based and they're evidence-based, blah, 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 yes. And they're fun and they're joyful. The best brain game in the world is the study of a musical instrument. That's research-based. That's not my opinion. I'll let you know when I share opinion versus fact. So that's a fact. A lot of research behind it. MRI, PET brain scans, even CTA scans where they look at different slivers of the brain, right? But not everyone has the opportunity to study musical instrument, unfortunately. And by study, I mean serious, like weekly lesson practicing 4 or 5 days a week. So I was fortunate. At 4.5 years old, I told my mom, hey, I want to play piano. And my mom and dad said, sure. And so at age 4.5, I started playing piano. And my mom was not thinking, I'm going to help you develop a crazy healthy brain. She was just thinking, my son wants to play piano. We're going to get a piano, right? But what happened is a lot of other incredible things for me as a young kid happened because of reading my mom and my grandmother, who had a big part in raising me. So back to my screen now. So in the chat room, and I have Stephanie, reminds me of drum major days in band. Yeah, making brain connections. So in the chat room, what was that like for you? What was that like for you? What emotions did you experience? Take your time. I want to know. I have to know. I want to know this. I want to know, what was that like for you? It might have been uncomfortable. Was it confusing, uncomfortable? It was challenging, excellent, fun, crazy, laughing, challenging, fun, crazy, focused.
I've been doing this, I think, for about, I don't know how long, Enrique, for about 10 years and it's still challenging to me.
How often do you practice?
Oh no, I don't.
Aha,
Only
it's okay. First of all, I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad it's still challenging. That means there's opportunity for growth. And as we'll get into more, I'm going to teach everyone how to go from, just being challenging to actually growing a new neural pathway. That's a different thing. New neural pathway takes daily practice. But thanks for sharing that and being vulnerable. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I really respect that. So, so look at the chat box, everyone. It's a pretty wide gamut, a wide spectrum, a variety of responses. It's a little different for everyone. Now here, I'm going to say something kind of interesting. I want you to be challenged. Now, do I want you to fail? No, I don't even recognize that word. I'll be honest with you. I don't recognize that word. The word failure, in the world of music, we call it practice. In the world of science, we call it experimentation. There is no failure. There's just figuring it out, right? That's a big deal. So if we don't challenge our brains, we are begging the universe to please make us old and frail. Please help our memory get worse by doing the same thing over and over again. Help us lower our energy. No one wants that, obviously. We don't want that, right? So, yeah. So here's a question, right? Here's a question. Think about it. So there's some obvious answers, right? I mean, I'll share the obvious answer with you. Play these brain games with them. So these brain games, they do come close. They come close in approximating what happens to the brain when we're playing musical instruments. But nothing gets to that level, right? But we got to do something. We have to have some answers. So this is not the only solution, but it's one of many, or one of, I should say, a number of solutions. The world of mental fitness is actually somewhat new. Whereas the world of positive psychology, that's been around for a while, and it's based on that work and others. So I want you just thinking about this. Like, what can we do to build more resilient brains with young children? Do better questions help? Do questions that create curiosity help? Of course. Of course. What we eat, of course, we'll get that to, we'll get down to that in another session. But we also need to play. And we need to play with movement, physicality. Let me break it down a little more detail for you. These are 8 things we want happening for the brain. Right, let me take you through them quickly, and then we're going to play some more. So I'm not done with you yet. We're going to play some more brain games. Integration into daily routine. There are 8 positive triggers based on the work of people like Barbara Fredrickson's PhD, a Stanford lecturer based on people like Daniel Siegel, UCLA professor, David Siegler at Harvard. He's the author of Lifespan. I mean, I can, if anyone here needs to see, this is not a research session, but if anyone needs to see the research, let me know. So there are 8 triggers. Most brain games use between 2 and 5, right? And being a musician, these brain games come from the world of conducting, which I also conduct orchestras and stuff, right? So these use all 8, which is super powerful. These brain games are superfood for the brain, these specific ones, right? So midline crossing, I think you all know about that. Left brain, right brain, crossing over, right? So saying hello like this, it's kind of looks weird. If I say, well, hi, right? That's actually better for the brain, right? If we go to open the door, right, and cross the line, or if we're playing soccer, but nothing gets to all 8, like music experiences. Because even when I'm playing soccer or some sport or baseball, right, swinging the bat, crossing the midline, but there's no frequency, there's no rhythmic consonance. So midline crossing, you got that rhythmic consonance. What does that mean? It means being in time with the music. So an old school brain game is patty cake, patty cake. Even better, patty cake with music on in the background, and you have to be in time with the music, right? Try that sometime. And we did rhythmic content, right? We had the music's embedded in the experience, right? And the online resources, it's embedded there too. Frequency, right? Not the music notes, not which notes, but the megahertz. The higher frequencies induce creation of new neural connections. It's all about vibration. It's all about bone conduction. But if there's inflammation, guess what can't happen? All that, all the stuff I just said. So how important is nutrition? It's huge, right? It's huge. And what creates more inflammation than anything else? There are three things, right? Stress, sugar, and white flour products. Sorry, I didn't make this up. Do I like sugar? Yes, I do. Do I eat it? Not much anymore. Will I share a substitute with you next week? Yes, I will. And it's not stevia, right? It's something else that's even better and sweeter, delicious, and has no sugar. So frequency, high frequencies, the piano, the guitar, the flute, the violin, and the human voice are the top 5. Just those higher frequencies, right? Tempo. Right here, this tempo is 120 beats a minute. So that creates an alert mind, or it helps the mind be more alert without it freaking out, right? We don't need to, young children have a lot of energy already. We need to be, thinking about how much more we want to pump their energy up, but we don't want to turn that energy off. It's not about turning energy off. It is about redirecting energy, right? And when you learn how to redirect energy of children, you then become a kid, young child, baby whisperer. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's great, great fun. Novelty, something new. So look, this is no longer new for me. So do I do this one? No, I don't. It's boring to me. So I have to push myself. So I cross my arms and I go switch, 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 switch. But that's not new for me either. So I'm always pushing my envelope. And if we are always challenging ourselves in positive, fun ways, guess who's going to mimic that? The children. When the next generation choose to learn out of desire, not out of mandate. I'm going to say that again. When the next generation chooses to learn out of a desire to learn and not because it's mandated, then we will see a huge shift, a huge shift. So how important is the art of the question? It's crazy important. It's really important, right? Repetition, practice daily, not once every 2 months. You can do that, but I will share with you, all you will get in return is laughter, which is healthy too, right? It'd be like saying, I want to learn how to play piano. Okay, how much do you want to practice? I got about maybe 30 seconds every other month. Well, I'm not really, it's not going to happen. But nor does it take 3 hours a day. It doesn't take that either. I'll get into that, right? Focus of attention, you know what that means, having to focus on something, and emotionally excited, something that's fun to do, something that's different. So with that in mind, let's up the ante. We're gonna play some more. I can get it to my screen. There we go. Okay, here we go. Video's on, please, if you can, if you don't mind. And we're gonna take a hand right here and square. That's easy, right? No big deal. Even cross the midline, no big deal. Super shake it out, other hand. Triangle. And you can cross the midline with that too. Great, easy. Hand here, square. Hand here, triangle. Square, triangle at the same time. 1, 2, ready, go. You can go slower if you want. You can go slow. Slow if you want. So a square in one hand, a triangle in the other, for those who can't see me. Now let's make it harder. How do we do that? Let's cross the midline with both. So, I mean, square first, straight arm, out away from you, far away from you, square. So my arm is straight the whole time. Cool? Yeah. That's no big deal by itself. Other hand over here. Triangle. But near you, pardon me. Not out here, really close to you. Triangle, really close to you. Now we're going to overlap. We're going to overlap. Square out here. Triangle here. Good luck. Here we go. 1, 2, at your pace. I'm having to focus on this one. I'm having to speak a little less on this one. Oh. And then imagine changing directions of the triangle. Ah. Oh. I made a mistake. I'm so excited. Why am I excited? I have something I know I need to practice. All right, let's keep going. 3D, 3D, down and up. This hand right here. Out and in, out and in, out and in. 1, 2, ready, and switch. Switch. Give yourself a round of applause. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. So it's about really truly wanting to create a desire to seek the unknown, right? It's about a desire to seek the unknown. So before we go any further, I want to hear from you related to, I mean, we were talking about how that made you feel, you know, challenging and so forth, and exciting, joyful, funny, you know, a stretch maybe for the brain. My question is this: how do you see yourself use? I mean, I'm going to give you plenty of feedback over the next 4 or 5 weeks, 6, 7 weeks on how to use this. But I want to hear from your instinct. How do you see this being used in a daily basis with what you do? With whom, when, where, how often, what time of day, during transitions? What do you think? What do you think? Circle time? When is it? Maybe a better question might be, when wouldn't you do it? Could you do this throughout the day in small chunks? Do you keep it a game, or do you want to make it homework? We don't want it to be homework, right? That's a loaded question. So think about it in the chat box. I want to know what you think. I want to know how you think you want to make this your own, and have it be something that is an everyday challenge for yourself and for those you serve. Take your time. Take your time. I'm loving your feedback so far today, I have to say. I really appreciate it. Just lovely stuff. So think about it. Where in your day, okay, so Denise, throughout the day during transitions, love it. Before their nap or lunch, yeah. During transition, circle time, throughout the day, yeah. And here's a loaded, not loaded question, here's a nudge question. Would you be doing it always in large groups, or would you have them do it sometimes in smaller groups? Okay, so talk to me about that before going home. Love it. And here's another question. How can we get families to do this at home? There are ways. What was that? Use when they are in line like that before going home, yeah? How can we get parents to use it? And I'm jumping ahead. This is part of the work I'll, when having a meeting with it. Yeah. So with our own colleagues, absolutely. Yeah. So did you know that when we embrace new ideas with our brain, that in general, conversations have a better chance of being more open, more cooperative? And there's something called transference of knowledge. Let me write that down for you. It's a really important term. Transference of knowledge. When we experience an idea or a strategy in one area and we get good at it, eventually that we have a chance of experiencing that same idea in another area of our life. So for example, I've gotten really good professionally at asking questions. And then one day, a long time ago, it occurred to me, maybe I should use that same approach with my own children. Duh, as a parent. I'm not a perfect parent, no one is, but I'm a much better parent today than I was when my daughter was born 26 years ago. I'm a very different parent, a very different way of being, right? So think about that parent question. You don't have to put it down, but think about that. Is there something we can do to incentivize parents? Is there something we can do? When we have those live meetings again, I know it's harder right now, when parents come together, is there a way for us to demo these, right? So be thinking about that. Let's continue. Oh, wait, did I go, make sure I didn't, just checking one thing. I want to make sure I didn't skip something. Oh, I did. I'm good. Okay. There we go. So this is an image taken of me and a good friend of mine at Make Way for Books in Tucson, Arizona. And we do these sessions. Well, we haven't done them recently, obviously. Missed that. Looking forward to that happening again. Although I have been visiting classrooms in other states right now, mostly New York, Ohio, Florida, virtually. And it's hilarious. I have my phone on. I do some reading. I share some slides of children's books I read to. We play some brain games. And then I take them on a tour of the desert. Because these are kids in upstate New York, man. They've never seen a cactus. They might have seen a picture. And much less the different kinds of cactus, right? So we can get creative. We can make things happen, right? So the idea of possibility culture, I'm going to say those words again, and I'm going to type them out here. The idea of possibility culture is at the root of a lot of the things I want you to think about. And really all it means is having a really open mind. An open mind related to what is possible. And to do that, we have to eventually, and we'll be doing this on June 14th, we have to get into, check this out, stay with me, this is really cool stuff, important. I'm about to say something huge. It means we have to become more aware of our inner judge as adults, as adult practitioners, particularly because we work with children, but any adult, our inner judge. And what do I mean by that? I mean our judgment of others, our judgment of ourselves, but the biggest one that doesn't get talked about a lot is our judgment of our circumstances. So we're going to dive into that. I'm going to teach you on June 14th as an introduction. I'm going to teach you how to intercept those negative thoughts we all have sometimes, how to intercept it pretty quickly, how to do a PQ rep in that context, and then how to choose a much more positive approach to anything we're doing. And we all need this, including me. I catch myself, right? I mean, I've not met anyone that doesn't have any negative thoughts sometimes. I mean, it's just we're all human beings, right? So possibility is everywhere. And it is not the what. I have shared with you some strategies today, but let me be clear. It's not the strategy that is the magic. It is how you deliver it. It is how you share the information. It is how you use your energy with people around you. Do you take the time to really look them in the eye, right? And it's not about being loud or soft. We all have to be ourselves, but it's about being, and someone said it earlier, it's about being authentic. It's about being authentic. So just to give that some thought internally, and I have a really cool game to play with you here as we get beginning to wrap up, and we're going to have some time for Q&A at the end by design. Right? So take a look at these two images. And if you know the answer, if you've been to, I think Elsa knows one of the answers maybe. But the woman and the man in the chat box, let's start with the woman. Please guess the age of the woman. Please guess her age. I know that's not a polite thing to do. In this case, she won't mind. I promise you, you'll see why. And then we'll get to the man later. So actually, yeah, 60s, okay. Yep, 60-ish, okay. Pretty good guessing. Yeah, so the woman, we're talking about the woman right now, 60. 65, I keep thinking, and there's no wrong answer. You're not gonna, she's not in the rooms, you're not gonna offend her if you wanna say older, right, or younger, whatever. We have 3 60s, 60s, 260, and 165. Anyone else? 85, okay. 30. 70. Okay, thank you, Mary.
59.
I like how you're all, what was that?
59.
59. Okay, we have a 59 as a guess. I like how you're all thinking about it. Like you're really giving it thought. Like you must be like zooming in. Is anyone zooming in? You're zooming in, aren't you? You're zooming in on the eyes. You're looking for the eyes. You're looking for those telltale signs of what the real age is. Okay. And now the gentleman. Oh, and 50. Someone said 50. The gentleman. How old do you think the man is in this photo? And then I'll tell you the age of both. I will. Okay, so Stephanie says 85 on the gentleman. It was 75, 85, 75, late 70s, we have 50. 95, okay. 80. All right. All right. Oh, 67, still coming in, all right. Okay, drum roll, please. Here it comes. Ready? First, the woman. The woman in this picture, 82. 82 years of age. The gentleman, you ready? 102. 102 in that image right there. So what's possible? The human body is designed to go between 100 and 140 years of age. You're right, Renee? Wow. I don't show these pictures to make any one of us feel like, oh man, I am not doing it. I'm not holding up my end. Quite the opposite. I share these images, one, I think it's inspirational. You know, I'm about to turn 55 and I know what I want to look like at age 60. And more importantly than look, I know how I want to feel. And compared to when I was in my 40s, I feel way better right now at 55 or almost 55, right? So what's possible and what's holding us back? What is holding us back? What is creating the self-limiting beliefs? That's another topic. That's another workshop, which we will get into, right? That's I weave that into all the workshops. The one where I really get into it will be partially next week and on June 14th. So what's your image going to look like? And I don't mean just physically, but like energy-wise, you know, mental health. And here's the deal. We get to choose. We get to choose. We get to choose. The fancy word for all of this, you know, is, here it is. I'm going to type it in. Oh, didn't spell it right. There it is. I spelled it right. Self-actualization. Determining, wanting to, being able and believing that we can determine who we are and determine how we live. Now, are there barriers that others place sometimes? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. And the world of Native communities, we are well aware and probably more aware than most of some of those, whether it be food sovereignty, whether it be water, whether it be electrical grids out in the Navajo Nation, whatever it is, there are a lot of challenges. We still get to choose. We still get to choose. There are now organizations that want to work in this area, including grocery stores that are really some fun, great people. But I get ahead of myself, right? So today's about resilient mind. So let's go back to there. Possibility culture for not all of you, but for each and every one of you is your choice. It's your choice how often you begin to use these brain games and the art of the question. That's up to you. Here's my suggestion, right? My suggestion is throughout the day, as I saw some of you type, throughout the day, my suggestion is when you wake up, how long, Enrique? Like 20 minutes? Well, if you want to, rock it out. 2-3 minutes is all you need. Even a minute, even 30 seconds. I would rather have you, it's more effective for your brain to do this throughout the day in 1 to 2 minute chunks than it is to do, okay, I did 15 minutes in the morning, I'm done. Because your brain has a brain charge. There's a charge. You got to keep your brain charged up like a battery, right? So to build new neural connections, you want to keep that battery charged. You don't want to let it dip too much. So it's throughout the day. And it doesn't have to be like homework, and it shouldn't be. It should be like fun, right? So like when one of you go home, you see your family, hey, have you ever tried this? It can be in the context of having fun. Don't look at this as homework. Just look at it as something else you're going to do in addition to breathing and drinking water and walking. Just make it part of your day. Just make it part of your day. So here are some questions I want you to think about. Take a good look at them. And I can't commit you. Only you can commit you, right? You know, I'm not going to do that. That'd be rude and ineffective, completely ineffective. So what are you going to commit to regarding brain work, regarding the children in your life, all the children in your life, no matter the age, right? And daily routine, brain, children, and daily routine. You don't have to put this in a chat box right now. Now, if you want to, that'd be great. But I do want to encourage you this. I want you to write it down somewhere, and I want you to share it with someone other than yourself. Maybe you'll have a buddy, maybe you'll have a friend where you're going to be accountable to that friend. How you do this is up to your organization, right? I'm not going to instill that. I don't have the right or the desire to tell you how to do it. But I want you to think about, okay, who can I be accountable to? Maybe you're going to do it as one big group. Maybe it's in small groups of 2 or 4, I don't know. But find someone, and it's okay if you miss a day. It's okay if you miss a morning, all right? So be accountable to someone. Any questions or comments on this before I get to the last slide, where we'll open it up for Q&A today? Going once, going twice, and okay, I'm going to move on. And by the way, look at the image I used. What was up with my choice of image there? I'm pretty specific with what I use. What do you think? You can write it down in the chat room, or you can unmute. Why did I use this? What does this image mean to you?
Coming out of the storm into the light.
Coming out of the storm into the light, right? Thinking about this whole last year and a half, right? It could be that, or it could be just in general about helping anyone who is open your brain. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, sure, open your brain. It could also be anyone who's struggling right now. Pre-COVID, after COVID, whatever. There might be people who are, there are people struggling at some level with whether it's depression or anxiety, right? I'll get into my daughter's story in another session. It's a happy ending, thankfully. Not all endings are happy, but is there a gift in the adversity? If we're looking for the gift, we'll find it. If we're looking only for adversity, we will find that too. I mean that not in judgment. I do not mean that, quite the opposite. So you know, there are ways. If you were to ask me, what do I get excited about? You know, there are a lot of things. I love to cook. I love to travel. I love to teach and guide. I love to make music. I love to help others. What I really get excited about is helping other people realize that there are potential solutions, some things that will help not only professionally, obviously, it's what I do professionally, but will have a huge impact on their personal energy and personal life. And my daughter is a living example of this. My daughter's a living example of this. And many others too. It's just that obviously with my daughter, it's a very personal thing and we're very close. So yeah, a lot, and I chose the woman, I wanted there to be a woman in the boat, right? And I'll just be honest with you. I did that because I was raised by women, and I was taught that things like compassion and vulnerability were strong things, were good things, were strengths, right? So I believe we have a lot to learn as males in this world today. I believe we have a lot to learn from women. And I am mentored by my daughter. I mentor her as well, but I am mentored by my daughter. Informally, my wife, she would laugh at that. I don't mentor. She does. I've learned a lot from her, right? And when my mom was around, her too, and my nana. So yeah. Oh wait, the other thing I want to show you. Wait, I forgot. One thing I didn't notice until after I put the image up, I'll be honest with you, is look at the water on both sides. And while there's rain in the stormy side, notice that the water is pretty much as calm as the water on the right-hand side. Interesting metaphor. Potentially interesting metaphors. What could that mean? Anyway, as we begin to wrap things up, and I'm so proud of myself, I left time for even more Q&A, which can be a challenge sometimes. Just know that you can friend me on Facebook if you feel comfortable doing so. The upside to that is then I would be able to send you a link to Grow Your Mind, which is a free group on Facebook that I created recently, just in February. And there's a lot of free ongoing learning and training going on there. Right? So it's a monthly masterclass. Sometimes I do two. In fact, the masterclass this week is it this week or next week? It is. You see here, I'll tell you right now. I'm just curious. Yes, this week actually, this Wednesday, I'm giving a free masterclass on how to intercept our inner saboteur and find the calm in the storm. It's a quick, I don't go into the entire thing. It's a 30-minute masterclass. And there are weekly tips. So there's a lot of free, and I'm not the only one who posts. People are posting great info. So you're welcome to join me there. And then in terms of just reminding all of us that we choose the mirror image. We choose what we put out into the world, right? Oh, okay. Thank you, Stephanie. That was strange. Everyone else is here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and bring us all together. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. And hopefully she'll be able to pop back on. All right, so if you would, please, be great to see your lovely faces. If you feel comfortable doing so, if you could turn on your video. And if, for some reason you don't want to, of course, that's okay too. Yeah, oh, great to see all these faces. Hello, hello, hello. So we have some time for questions, for comments related specifically to what I was sharing, or it might be some other question you might have related to anything I mentioned, or maybe something that a thought you had connected to something you heard or saw today. And again, this is us coming out of the gate. This is step one of at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions between now and June 21st. And then again, we're going to be continuing with work. I think it's September we start up again, or late August, I forget which. So what questions or comments does anyone have?
I have one. I think that the majority of this community that I know of, and possibly out in Hill River, that the majority of the children that were raised by women. So the compassion and the resilience that some children have do come from women, because they have either grown from seeing their parents struggle, or they've fell to ground zero because their parent failed.
That's I I have some comments related to that. First of all, thank you for sharing. And you're bringing up a topic that's very close to my heart. Is there anyone that wants to respond in some way to those comments before I do? No? I'll be happy to. Yeah, Ruby and everyone, I certainly, I think it goes without saying that while there are some traditions that are beautiful and that should definitely be invigorated, and hopefully, hey, also great to be back. While there are traditions that are beautiful traditions, like the tradition of families coming together and having a meal together, right? Traditions of singing together, holding hands together, of praying together, whatever it happens to be. You know, a language, keeping our original language intact whenever possible, and sharing our culture. There's some great cultures, great traditions that need to continue. With that said, there are some other traditions, right? Like patriarchal approaches to life, decisions being made by many times men without even having, you know, strong, bold human beings who happen to be women. Someone's getting echo.
Come on, folks.
Okay. Woo. So whoever that is, if you could mute. If you can make sure you're muted.
Okay, I got it.
It's okay, no worries, no worries. So anyway, I get really excited. And make sure you're,
Huh?
yeah, someone's not muted. So
Someone's putting too many devices close by each other.
it's okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself. Okay, I think we're good now. So I muted you, didn't mean to be mean about that, I did. So yeah, the idea that vulnerability, compassion, kindness are weaknesses is obviously an untrue statement, and to hear that in your community that many children are being raised by women puts a huge smile on my heart and on my face, because of what I experienced. And my dad was a pretty good guy, you know, is still, you know, but my mom is the one who played with me. My mom is the one who spoke with me. And my grandma would look at me and say things like, "Mijito, everything in here can be out there." You know, like she was talking to me about the power of the mind when I was a little kid, when I was like 4 or 5. So Ruby, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Other comments or questions about today, or you might have questions about the upcoming sessions, or about how to use the brain games. You might want more info on that, or you might have enough for now. So what $1 million question would you ask me? Because that's what you have the time for right now. You can ask me any question. Oh, let's see. I have something in the chat room. As saying, do you have online brain games we can use? Yeah, so I will put down, let me see, we have a brand new site we're building. Let me see what it looks like. So there are online resources. And ESSA, I'm not sure whether the organization is considering. I don't want anyone to spend any of their own money if they don't have to, is what I'm saying. There are a couple of free ones. I'm going to show you where those are right now. And I want to see if those are up on my, oh, they are. Okay, great. And Rick, oh, good, it's been updated. So I'm going to give you a couple of links here. Okay, so one link is intellectual brainwave games. So they're called IBG brain games, and that stands for intellectual brainwave games. So there's one link, right? And then the other link I'm going to give you, that link is a landing page. It's pretty simple. I'm going to give you another link. Give me one moment here. I think I know what the address is. Build a better brain. Yep, okay, so I'm going to give you another link. A better brain. Oh, not quite. And there we go. So this second site, both sites will link you to, you know, if you don't have to. I'm not here promoting a product today. Elsa asked about it, so I want to make sure you know where it's at. So this will take you to where you can purchase it either individually or as an organization. If it's an organizational thing, Elsa, let me know and we'll provide a discount. The individual stuff is already discounted greatly. So on both these sites, you will see some videos that talk about the brain games, and you'll actually see 2 of the brain games from set 1, or actually in the first one, you'll see one from set 2. So we have 2 sets published so far, so there are 30 brain games that are out, and we'll be producing another set in the near future. And there are over 250 of them, so eventually there'll be at least 100 of them out there. Yeah, so those 2 are where you go. So thank you for asking that. Other questions or comments? I still have time, not in a hurry. You might have questions about nutrition, even though it's not Nutrition Day. You might have some questions about that. Or art of the question. Or you might have things you want to share with me regarding about your community. I mean, I'm relatively familiar with your community. I've done work over the years in your community, in different areas of the community, but I'm always interested in learning more about, you know, your situation. Take your time, think about it. Let me see here. Oh, you know what I'll do? So you don't have to wait a week for that sweetener. I mean, I'll get into it next week, but I mentioned there was a sweetener replacement that I like a lot. Here it is. Renee, what are some healthy foods to feed our brain? Okay, let's talk about that. So here is monk fruit extract. Monk fruit is an Asian fruit. You can buy it online. You can buy it in town, some places. And then I'll get into your questions here. Good questions, Renee and Stephanie. So monk fruit drops have 0 macros, which mean they have no fat, no carbs, no sugar, and no protein. And it's 200 times sweeter than sugar. Very sweet, but no sugar in it. And it's not a sugar alcohol like erythritol. So it's healthy. It's really healthy. The body knows how to get manage it, how to use it as energy. And it's great, like in steel cut oats and smoothies, and you know, if you're baking, it's really good. Okay, so Renee asked, what are some other healthy foods to feed our brain? Here are some. So broccoli, let me see here. There's 4, and there's more. There's a lot more. Pistachios. Let's see here. There's 2 more. acai is a berry, a Brazilian berry, and places now you can buy it pretty inexpensively, which is, another issue, right? Is cost and affordability. So, broccoli, very inexpensive. Avocado can be a little pricey. Pistachios, depending where you get them. Hemp seeds are super affordable, very affordable. Acai you can buy in frozen packets now, and you can make your smoothies. So I'll get into even bigger lists, but these that I just mentioned, these all help your brain produce NMN. And it's an acronym, night nucleomonotide, I forget how to pronounce it, but all you need to know is that NMN then produces in your body NAD, which is another long set of words. And here's all you need to know is when you produce NAD by eating the right foods that produce NMN, NADs impact your DNA health. So again, when's the last time anyone ever went to their private doctor, their family doctor, and said, hey, can you show me how to produce NMN so I can produce NAD so my sirtuins number 2 and 6 on my DNA strands are healthier so I live longer with a higher quality of life? The doctor will probably look at you like, what have you been reading? In nutrition, we have to be, I'm not anti-doctor. I do go to the doctor. And I certainly am safe outside when I'm doing different things with people, and I'm very honoring of other people, and their beliefs and so forth. But in terms of nutrition, we all need to become our own like mini researchers, right? We need to ask good questions to our doctors. So like when my mom passed away February 4th, and at the time she was on approximately 11 medications. And I didn't judge my mom for that. I gave my mom other options, and she wasn't comfortable with those options because she had cancer. So I'm not judging anyone who takes chemo. You're going to get no judgment from me. All you're going to get from me is love and support, right? And I loved and supported my mom, but she was scared. She wasn't scared to die. She was uncomfortable going the route of no medication, right? Which is the route that I've taken for me personally. And it takes a lot of time and effort. It's not easy. Now, if I broke my leg, would I want morphine? Yes, I would. Right. So if I hurt myself really badly, I'll be the first one signing up for that. But I will be sharing with you soon what to eat in even more detail. But that gives you some feedback there, Renee. And then Stephanie, what is one thing we can do with our diet right now to improve our brain? Oh, what a great question. I'm typing, here I go. Healthy fats, now what are those? And healthy fats tell our brain everything's okay. So if we don't eat enough healthy fat, which I'll describe in a moment, at least a little bit, our brain tells our body it's starving. So it holds on to fat. And our brain we don't think very clearly without enough healthy fat. So here are my favorite healthy fats, okay? And I'll be super specific. So Kerrygold butter, it's real butter. Do not eat margarine. It's a couple of molecules away from plastic, really. That was an exaggeration, all right? So don't eat the fake butter. It confuses our body. So you want real butter. Now, I didn't say eat a brick of butter a day. So, it's still moderation, right? But butter, coconut oil, avocado oil, both of which you can cook with on high heat. Awesome. Olive oil, delicious, especially raw. I make my own salad dressings. I'll show those to you, and you'll get recipes from me too. So in the near future, I'll be sending that as well. And let me see, did I say, an avocado itself. Fantastic healthy fat there. Those are probably my favorite ones. The other one I like is almond butter. So you can see why dipping broccoli and almond butter is a super, super healthy way to go. And the more you get off sugar, your taste buds will change. It's really interesting. Oh, and word of the wise, just so you know what you're getting into. If you choose to go down this pathway of getting healthier, right? The healthier you get, when you do go back and have a naughty meal or a cheaty meal, you will feel it. You'll feel it more. So it's fascinating. So yeah, good questions. We've got about 4 minutes left. If some of you have to go, it's okay with me if you go. I'm gonna wait until peace. Any other questions? What is it?
This is really good information. I just wanted to share that we do have like center cooks on this session. So this is like awesome. Yeah, we have several center cooks that are taking this back. When we get back, we could do nutritional experiences with the children, and we could even call it, we're gonna eat super brain food today, and we could introduce all of these healthy foods for the children to take back and share with their families.
And it's all about options. Like here's for all the cooks that here today, something I do with children and that I've done in Head Starts a lot is I'll bring in, well, I wasn't allowed back in the day when I was allowed to bring food in. I would bring in a green apple, a red apple, like 4 or 5 different kinds of apples, and they would taste them and they would figure out which ones they like better. So the question wasn't, do you like apples? The question is, which of these apples do you like more or less? And we even charted it. They did some, they did different things with it. And then we brought in different dipping sauces. And ranch was not one of them. Sorry. No, I mean, it might be tasty, but we were trying to really promote healthy food. So what we did is we put in almond butter, peanut butter, and those two alone, very different in flavor. Very different in flavor. I think we even did pesto, which, some of them loved it and some of them could not stand it. It was just too outside their experience at the time. That's okay. That's okay. So yeah, there are a lot of cool things you could do in the world of food and helping young children fall in love with eating in a very healthy way. Yeah. Well, I just want to say I've had a lot of fun today with everyone, and I really appreciate all your feedback. And we see Stephanie says, I can't wait to eat healthy fats after my gallbladder, right? Okay. Since I have been on a low non-fat diet for, yeah. Definitely change. So, and be careful with any product that says low fat. There are typically other things in the product that are not always super healthy for us. So just be aware of that. But yeah, healthy fats, and you'll all get the recipes and some of my recipes, and I haven't written them all down, but the ones I've written down you'll get, and that can be of assistance too. So any other final words, Elsa?
This was great information again. This is something we could take back right now to our own homes, to our centers. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here, and we can't wait for your next session, which will be next week again at 9:45.
Yeah.
Same time, same place. I'll be sending out the link again. Enrique, thank you for this information. It was great.
You're welcome, and I will be sending out a new link, so it won't be the same link. So I'll send the link to Elsa, and she'll send it out, and I really look forward to it. And I just want to, in case anyone hasn't told all of you, each and every one of you, in case no one's told you this recently, you're wonderful. Aww. And you're marvelous, and you matter profoundly, right? Yeah. You're wonderful, marvelous, y'all. That's a beautiful, magical, filled with curiosity and dreams. Yeah, you're all. It's important that we remind ourselves in this community, because quite often the community of early childhood, it's getting better, right? I mean, there have been some recent things happening in our city of Tucson, even where some really exciting forward movement going on, like with funding, like actually, putting their money where their mouth is. My gosh. But with that said, we need to keep reminding ourselves of how beautiful the work is we do. And you are impacting, it may feel like sometimes you're impacting just one classroom. You're not. You're impacting hundreds and thousands of people when you do the domino. When you run the dominoes, and how one person impacts another person's life, blah, 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 blah. You're having a huge impact. So I just want to make sure that you're reminded of your greatness.
Thank you, everyone. If anybody wants to, if anybody has any questions, you all have my phone number. You could send me a text or send me quick emails. It's the end of the semester. So if anybody has any questions regarding TOCC, final grades, anything, I'll be available for you all day long. All right, thank you. And I hope you guys all have a great day. And thank you, Enrique, so much. This is awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thanks for
Thank you, Enrique. Have a good day.
You too. Okay. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.